Hey everyone, welcome back to the Swap Space. Today we have our guest Trax. We should have Daniel and I believe Adam joining us in a little bit. Our co-hosts, I don't know what they're doing, but anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We have quite a bit of spaces this week, so I could would really appreciate it if you could get some comments or a like or retweet and stuff to help spread awareness. We do have Hachi Mugen tomorrow with another special guest, and then Thursday we're actually going to have Mod Club, and then Sunday we'll of course have the Sunday Spew, and then we have a lot of teams asking to come up in the coming weeks. So really important that we can help give these teams extra awareness and exposure by liking and retweeting the space. And if you haven't followed the Swap Space account yet, it is in our bio, where you can find all of our spaces stored in one place. So I really hope, actually, for how Elon's been customizing Twitter X or X in general. I really hope that there's a feature to make it really easy to find all your spaces in one place, because they're going to have to do it with videos as well. And I've been using the media studio and stuff for that. It makes it so much easier when people can just go and browse your content freely, kind of like how you would on YouTube. So that's something I'm hopeful for. But we have Sage with us, Adam. So I'll let him do a quick little intro.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? GM, or for you guys across the pond, I guess it's GE. I'm the only person who says the other ones. I say GM, GA, GE, and GN. I say the entire spread all the way, but some aren't as popular as others, so it's important to get all them in. But hope everybody's doing well today. I'm the community relations manager of the Swap. I got to meet Trax at in Florida at the ICP Community Conference, and some really interesting guys. I was surprised. You guys are rolling deep. You had a very big team representing, and I appreciated that so much, because it's a lot of the time a project you'll just get the founder, or maybe one or two people, but yeah, guys, appreciate you coming up here. Yeah, I'm consider myself a bit of a community ambassador. I try to make make it so people have more of a voice, and you know um, we have a lot of Web3 isn't exactly Web3 yet, and we want to make it so that people can have their full voice and full display of opinions heard. So it's a very important thing to have that speech going, and I think that speech segues right into what you guys are, which is music. And I know music is can be very touchy too, because a lot of people see it as an us and them kind of topic, and uh, you know the major record labels make things, along with the current streaming platforms, make things a lot harder for independent musicians to gain traction, for them to be able to take control of what they're actually doing. So I'm really excited to see what you guys have to provide today, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having us and thanks for the intro. It's good to be here. Yeah, we met in Miami, which was, I think everyone who went had a good time, and hopefully they'll do it again next year. But no, happy to be here and looking forward to answering some questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So, give us a little bit of background on how Trax came to form and how big the team is.
Okay, so we um, we started Trax in around October of last year. We were already a team, so building in Web3, not on ICP. We were building on Polygon before. And we didn't have a great experience as a team building on Polygon. It got, I'd say, too big for its own good. Very difficult to get in touch with their foundation. Not so much support for developers building things as there is on ICP. So we moved, we shifted network, and we also shifted kind of focus of what we wanted to build. We were previously building a DeFi project on Polygon, and it was around the time of the market crash, and sort of, I don't know if anyone else has experimented with building in DeFi. It can be very challenging if you don't know the right people, and also quite easy to encounter the wrong sorts of people that you don't really want to be working with. So we didn't have a great time with that. Moved over to ICP, and we wanted to just do something that we're all passionate about as a team. So we had a couple of team meetings. We settled pretty early on music and saw really a gap in kind of the ICP ecosystem, but also wider Web3 market. for a service like Trax. And then from there, yeah, we kind of iterated on the idea a little bit. We've been building sort of since October, and we launched our beta, kind of an MVP of the platform in the end of June, start of July. And yeah, since then we've just been hard at work onboarding artists, adding new features. We're building out a lot of cool stuff, sort of ICP tech that we've started rolling some of it out, but we've got some more stuff coming soon. So yeah, that's a little bit of a kind of background how we came to it, how we came to ICP.
Awesome. Yeah. And what would you say was like the biggest, I guess, learning curve from changing from Polygon to IC?
There's a lot. So I mean, Polygon being an L2 for ETH, it operates very similarly to ETH. You write your contracts in Solidity. There's a lot of documentation, a lot of sort of developer resources, lots of open source code that you can sort of start working with. Whereas with ICP, it's a lot newer and everything is different, from the coding language to the way you construct your smart contracts, the way that the entire system runs. So it took us a few months to wrap our heads around, how everything works, what is possible on ICP that's definitely not possible on other chains, and how we can leverage that to our advantage with what we're building. So it's been a steep learning curve. I'd say we've now gotten to the point where, the developers definitely, they're now comfortable with building on ICP, and we're able to ship features a lot faster than we were at the start.
Yeah, I mean it's really important to be able to ship, obviously, and to to make the change, obviously, from coming through during like a bear market and all that takes a lot of courage to do too. I mean, you're changing up your whole your whole development of things. So hats off to you guys for that. I'm gonna pass it over to Daniel quick to just kind of do like a quick little intro. Daniel, you there?
Yeah. Yep. Sorry about that. Yeah, I lost my my beloved earbuds recently, so I've been trying to work on audio quality in the meantime. But yeah, hey everyone, it's good to see everyone again. My name's Daniel. For those of you who don't know me, I've been co-hosting Swap Spaces with Kyle for what is like probably about a year, and I believe we met Trax in what is it, Miami, and we got to have a pretty good conversation with them. So looking forward to hearing what they've been up to and how their progression is going. And from what it sounds like you guys are getting the hang of it.
And then as far as like users on the platform, how many artists have you guys been able to bring over to Trax?
Good question. I'll pull it up. I can see the live number now. Here we go. 130 is the live number. So we're happy with that. It's quite difficult when you launch a new platform. It's kind of the chicken and the egg problem is how people describe it. But how do you onboard, especially a marketplace project, which is essentially what ours is? How do we onboard the supply side, so the artists, and how do we also onboard fans as well? So we're happy with the start that we've made. We're having some really interesting conversations now with what you could say are larger artists who haven't got exposure to Web3 at the moment. So we're trying to get some deals done to get them on board and on the platform, and hopefully that will really, once you get some more established names, you can quite quickly start to scale user count just from network effects of those artists pulling in other artists, and those artists, their fans will come to the platform. So that's what we're working on right now in terms of onboarding, but we're happy with the start that we've made.
And do you see, like, when dealing with these artists, does it seem like when they're unfamiliar with Web3, is it pretty easy for them to understand, like, why it's kind of important to be over here? Or do they kind of have trouble, like, they don't necessarily, like, quite get it right away? Like, what's that initial reaction like that you pick up on?
I think there's two answers to that. So the first is we've made a real effort to make onboarding, signing up to the platform, being able to post, starting to be able to use Trax as similar to a Web2 user experience as we possibly could. So even though you can sign in with internet identity, you can also sign in with email. Even though you can pay for content using ICP, you can also pay with dollars. So I think, especially given the current market and attitudes towards Web3, projects should be mindful of the fact that we, as an industry, maybe don't have the best reputation right now. So you have to sort of work quite hard to appeal to both Web3 native users, but also people who are completely fresh to it all, and provide them with an experience that they are going to enjoy using, they're familiar with using. So that's definitely on one side of things. And yeah, I think for the artists, there are lots of artists are interested in Web3. Maybe at the moment they're looking at it, has the sort of, was it a bubble and has the bubble popped? But we definitely don't believe that. And because at the end of the day, it's an advance in technology, and it can be leveraged in a lot of different ways for artists' benefits. Once you start to really break that down and explain it to them, their eyes kind of open, and they see where the value is, and how they can be sort of leveraging it to their own benefit. So you have to, I think, just because we're not in a bull market and people look mainly at price charts, and especially ICP, it looks terrible. You have to do a bit more legwork to convince them that, okay, this is great, and I can use this to sort of benefit my career, engage better with my fans, whatever it might be, whatever they're looking for. There's definite value that can be added by using Web3.
Yeah, I mean, for using Web3 and all that, it is the initial barrier of getting used to it, right, for the outsiders. And even so, when you're navigating certain networks and stuff, it can be a little bit rough. But yeah, when you can eliminate those barriers and get people using the technology early, they're ultimately going to be teaching their friends, family, and all this once they see success with the platforms. So it's the best way to start it out. Obviously, is like word of mouth from marketing and sharing and like captivating good user experiences, which seems to be what you guys are gravitating towards, making it enjoyable for the artists and such to utilize the platform and see benefit from it. And I know you said you had 130 artists, which is quite a bit. So hats off to you guys for that. Especially early days of the platform. Artists range from all different sorts of communities that they've built up over the years. So, I mean, even one artist could be a massive artist for your platform, like I always kind of stress to the community, one is a big difference maker, because one could have connections to, so many other people and, projects and artists themselves. So never underestimate the value of one, because it can be such a substantial benefit to your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. And that's, if you've used Trax, you'll notice that it's built in a very similar way to kind of Web2 social media. You have a feed, you can follow people, you can like stuff, you can comment. Everyone has their own profile. So, when you operate or you build in that kind of way, you're able to sort of create features that drive network effects for the platform. So then, when we're looking at onboarding these larger artists, they're going to bring with them a huge influx in users and fans, and there will be spillover effects for the artists who are already on the platform. So, if you're an artist who's already on Trax now, you're going to benefit from the fact that we're going to be trying to get, bigger names, more fans, more users. And yeah, I mean, it's critical for us really to start having those conversations now.
And would, like, as far as like the trajectory for like where you guys are at with your project, what do you see like over like the coming months? I guess like 6 months to a year for Trax development.
Yeah, I'll run through it quickly. If for people who are interested, we have a wiki site, so it's wiki.trax.so. On there's a bunch of kind of materials that are useful if you're a fan, if you're an artist. But there's some resources on there as well. So the white paper is coming. I was actually writing it today. That's for our SNS. So that is in the pipeline. I mean, we haven't sort of set a date for that yet, but we have a few things that we want to do before we get to SNS. But yeah, in terms of what we are actively working on at the moment, Bitcoin is the sort of the next major release that we'll hopefully have out sort of middle of September, I'm thinking. And that will mean that, really Trax is the first platform, at least that we can find, where artists are able to earn in Bitcoin. And so we're leveraging, CKBTC on the ICP network, which enables us to do what are essentially microtransactions with a high TPS. So it's not going to be slow. The user experience will still be good. But as an artist, you're going to be able to start earning Bitcoin, which you can earn ETH on other, Sound XYZ, other music NFT platforms. But Bitcoin's still the daddy. So, we think that there's a real kind of marketing element, but there's a brand power that comes with Bitcoin. So if we're able to kind of harness that and go to our artists and say, look, this is a platform where you can start earning in Bitcoin, we think that's really interesting. So that's going to be the next release. And then we've actually already built it, but it needs kind of optimization to be production ready, is the ability to store your content on the ICP network. So for people who are listening who aren't familiar, ICP is very good at storing data on the blockchain itself, as opposed to on AWS, which is where the majority of other services store the data. So you can store your content on the network, and then you can provision access to it using smart contracts, or you could set a price to access it. You might have an NFT to unlock a certain piece of content, but the piece of content itself is stored on chain, and you have the full access over it. So it's kind of an advance in tech, and we're excited when it's sort of production ready to launch that. So that's coming. And then after that, we're going for NFTs. So, I think when we first started, we wanted to be unique in what we were offering to artists, because there are already lots of platforms where you can do music NFTs. Sound XYZ is the one that everybody knows, but there are others. Zora's doing quite well recently, Glass Protocol. There are a handful, and there's almost there's a music NFT platform for every chain, but there isn't one yet for ICP. So we're going to basically build the same functionality as you can expect on other chains, but with some additional benefits that come with being on ICP. First one being that there's no gas. So if your fans don't have to pay gas fees, there's none of that additional friction that is probably taking away from the number of minters or number of people who are actually going to be able to collect. So that's gone. And then the ability to do raise in ICP, but also in Bitcoin. That's definitely interesting. And I think just ICP as a network deserves a music NFT platform. All other chains seem to have one. We're not lagging behind, but we're a bit behind on that, and we want to be the place for music NFTs on ICP. So that's coming. And then, as I mentioned at the start, I was writing the white paper today, SNS. And I think there's kind of controversy around why do certain projects need SNS and what's the value. And we've taken that on board and thought about how can you really leverage the true purpose of an SNS DAO, a treasury, to benefit the platform. So with ours, when we have this treasury, artists who are on the platform will be able to put forward proposals to the treasury for funding. Let's say they want to master a new album, or they want to do some promotion on whatever it might be. So we're going to really open up that treasury to be community owned, and enable the artists to actually benefit from it, as opposed to sort of have those treasury funds locked away and keep access to them to ourselves. So I think that will be really interesting when you couple that with having a token, and then you can start incentivizing, user engagement, artist engagement. It's something that's not possible on Web2 systems like a Spotify or a SoundCloud. You can't reward engagement with some kind of token or monetary value, whereas you can on Web3. So I think that's a really interesting USP, and most of the other Web3 music platforms don't have a token, so it's quite difficult for them to do that. So definitely with the Trax token, we're excited to see what that can do for for growth, but also just to build a more kind of rewarding user experience for early adopters.
Certainly makes a lot of sense there. You have a lot to unpack there. So like, I'm gonna first tackle the CK Bitcoin transactions with Trax. I think that's incredible. I'm imagining that's going to come from CKBTC. Giving artists the ability to have a stable, like like for the most part, like if they can get transactions in Bitcoin, it's pretty stable compared to IC, obviously, and ETH for that matter as well. So really important to see that. And then how you tackled the SNS, I really enjoy that because I've been someone that's been pretty vocal lately on SNS. Um, you know, it's like if you want to chime in, you can. But as far as like how SNS has gone, it seems like a lot of it has been, I guess, not so much thinking about the community and the impacts. I mean, even Definity just posted, it was Dominic Warner, or if I'm saying that right, basically said that like if the teams keep going through and taking a big substantial cut of the Neuron fund, like there's not going to be much left for future teams, and that's a big issue. And making it community focused is what the network needs. So I really appreciate that you said that you are more so, looking to have it where it's locked up treasury for the community to utilize. Because a lot of these artists are going to need additional marketing, and it's important for these teams in the SNS or going to the SNS to already have like strong developers and stuff looking to kind of be involved with the project as well. Because if it doesn't have that, it's basically just relying on the centralized team that's launching it to continue producing updates and stuff to the code. So I hope like that's something that's on the mind of teams, and for us, like I can't speak for Daniel because he's our developer, he's our CTO, but like he's doing a lot of projects and stuff, but we as ourselves for the Swap would be able to help out with marketing and stuff because we do artist spotlights and so on. And we're looking to do live events. So that's something of interest to us for sure. But doing updates to code might be a little bit rough. We'd probably be more so like grants, whatever, hackathons and stuff to help influence artists to come try a platform like Trax. So
Yeah, absolutely. I
that's the way
mean,
that.
those are some great ideas. I think it's just you have to be principled. If you're going to be doing an SNS, you have to look at what's the point of the SNS in the first place. It's about community ownership and community governance. So if you don't have a strong community, or you don't have an idea of how the community will interact with this DAO that's going to be running the show from now on, then there's no real point doing it. And I think for us, we do have a strong use case where, like I said, we've already got 120 of these artists, and if those are all interested and actively engaged with the direction that the platform's taking, priorities on what features should be built and what should be released, which artists on the platform should be receiving, kind of support and additional funding to take their careers to the next level, which benefits the platform because they'll have more fans and more people purchasing. So I think we've got a great use case for what the SNS is trying to do. And the other ideas that you just mentioned, I think, are also really key to that.
And Adam, you can go ahead. But yeah, I appreciate you for acknowledging that. It's definitely something that's at least on my mind with SNS projects. So.
Yeah, I mean, so Trax, something that's definitely important to highlight. Coming from my time in the music industry, I did mean to mention that, but I'm a little all over the place because I'm still waking up. I did spend 7 or 8 years running an indie label, an independent, an independent record label in the music industry that focused on electronic music. I also was an artist manager. So something that I've noticed that's really hard for musicians, as Swap said, is the marketing. Like, it's hard because a musician wants to be able to focus on their creative contributions and their art, And it takes a lot away when you have to go and spend so much time marketing and doing all this like social media construct and building. Like it's part of the reason why artist managers exist, because in the music industry there's artist managers and there's basically like booking agents or tour managers. So artist managers take care of the things on the creative side, like helping them facilitate things on social media, helping them facilitate their networking, their marketing. And it's hard. And, it takes away from what they can do as part of the overall whole. Um, because they get bogged down in having to focus on that. And honestly, with platforms that already exist like Apple Music and Spotify, you have to go so far out of your way to brand yourself for next to nothing in return. I mean, the yield off of Spotify for one stream is a fraction of a cent. If you get 1 million streams, you know, people equate that back to the pre. A lot of people equate a stream to basically like a record sale almost, because that's like the modern day equivalent, if not maybe a little bit less. But um, with that being said, you would think 1 million streams, like you're killing it, you're breaking through, and it's not. That's not even really the case, because like to actually break through on Spotify, you have to get like hundreds of millions, if not billions, to actually go into the to go into the field where you actually are contributing something to where you can get something back. So it's a little callous, because if you get 1 million streams on Spotify, you're looking at best case scenario maybe $3,000, and that's not including anybody that you've worked with on the song, any vocalists or singers, any songwriters, the people that do the mastering, the funds you got to put out, as said before, for networking and for marketing. And by the time you get all said and done, you have barely anything to take away from it. And as I mentioned with major labels, it's really hard to disrupt them because they own most of the music industry. They bought up most of the successful record labels or independent labels that are out there, and they now go under the brand of Universal, Warner, or Sony. And when that happens, everybody thinks same thing, signing with a gigantic label, I've made it. Well, not really, because you're going to get maybe 10 to 15% off of what you make from your songs. And there's no guarantee as to how well they're going to do. Then you end up signing a very controlling contract with them for 10 years where you have to produce a certain amount of content. Like, that's ridiculous to me. It's almost like it's almost like a dairy cow. Like you're being farmed for your content, and you're being told you need to produce. We need you to produce. We need you to meet quota here. And it's like, well, I'm a creative individual. I just want to make money off of my art. So I think that's important going into the Web3 sphere of influence, because it creates a new ability with tokenization and, as you said, with treasury funds, to be able to let musicians tap in to these kind of things that are around for them to be able to take advantage of and focus on being an actual truly creative person. I mean, I like, music NFTs, but they don't do everything. They're a good like opponent of the traditional sales model, but they don't do enough, because streaming is really where everybody's at. And as you said, like there are streaming platforms, but I don't think a lot of them are doing it correctly. And giving people the option, as you said, with being able to have the option be paid in Bitcoin, and like opening that up to them and giving them different options as to what they prefer, as to what is best for them and their audience. Like, I think it's really amazing. So I'm kind of curious a little bit further, from being, so heavily involved in the music industry. What is your so you guys go off of streams to monetize the artist? Like, how does that model work? What does an artist necessarily get paid? Like, do you have certain figures, like of like 1,000, 100,000, 1 million? How does an artist get paid necessarily? And what contributes towards it for them to continue to be an independent musician in the field, so that they can continue to live their dream? Like what's the breakdown of your model like?
Yeah, I mean, great points, and appreciate your kind of background and expertise. I think the first thing to say is that the streaming model has kind of diluted the value of music, and there's a lot of research about it. You know, you can kind of Google that. You can see how music industry revenue has plummeted as opposed to something like gaming, which has taken off in recent years. And I think the streaming model really just promotes a race to the bottom mentality. It's more about users than fans. It's more about streams than actual connections. So we don't operate on a streaming model, to answer your question. Ours is direct fan to artist monetization. So we have a few different ways that artists can monetize on the platform at the moment, and we're going to add a few more. The main ones at the moment are tipping, subscriptions, and pay-per-view. And we take 10%, the artist gets 90%, which makes us the market leader actually in terms of rates. There are a few platforms. I'd say the closest Web2 competitor or similar thing is like a Bandcamp, which is where you can upload some music, set a price for it, and then you're going to receive a direct payment from the people who are purchasing from you. And that's the model that we've adopted because I think that's a much healthier, more sustainable approach. And to go to your kind of earlier point, it helps artists stay authentic. You can start to accrue your fan base slowly over time. That's going to start growing. You're going to be able to monetize more and more from those fans as they join you and start following you. And you're going to be less focused on how do I go viral on TikTok? How do I get my song in a Spotify playlist? And I think that's a good move away from the current kind of industry dogma, if you will. So we take 10% of transactions. We have a couple of artists. I think maybe it'd be interesting to hear from them about how I think Losi, Gritbeat, you guys are both here. How have you found being able to monetize on Trax as opposed to maybe what you've been earning from some streaming platforms? I don't know if we can invite other people up, but that would definitely be interesting to hear.
Always encouraged. For the artists in the crowd that would like to come up, just request to speak. It makes it a lot easier.
Whilst we're waiting, I think that's our big shift away from current models. Everyone is obsessed with streaming numbers and streaming this and streaming that. And like you said, unless you're in that top 1% where you're making the millions or hundreds of millions of streams, it's very difficult to earn sustainable living from posting your music onto these platforms. And you're going to get lost amongst the crowd. It doesn't promote any kind of fan to artist relationship. So we're more interested in that side of things. There's a great article, kind of a thought piece, but it's very famous now, called 1,000 True Fans. So I'd recommend anyone to read that because it talks about how you don't need to necessarily worry about how do I get 1 million followers or how do I get 1 million streams. Instead, prioritize how do I grow my fan base from 0 to 1, and then from 1 slowly to 1,000. And then once you have 1,000, followers, for example, on Trax, you might be charging a $5 monthly subscription for your content. That's $5,000 a month that you're making, and that's definitely going to be 1,000, say 1,000 or 10,000 streams on Spotify. So it's a complete reversal of the model, but I think it's much more sustainable. Rewards artists actually interacting with their fans, building a community, and it's already starting to work. So hopefully we can hear from a couple of artists.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate the clarification, and that model is definitely I'm very bullish on it because being able to empower and directly provide to the musicians and artists from their fans, it's absolutely one of the most important things that we can do to empower creators. And that's something that I tried to do with my indie label as well, and it was hard to with the current Web2 music industry model. My thing was I wanted to give all my musicians 50% of what they made because I was sick of 10, 15%. Oh, you barely get anything. You barely break even. Like, oh, you got a track uploaded on YouTube and you got it on this big channel. Guess what? They're not going to give you any of the monetization for it. You're not getting it. Oh, we'll pay you an exposure. No, don't pay me an exposure. Pay me an actual, something I can live off of. And something that's important to realize is there's a very important breakdown for the audience that connects with musicians. There's a listener, a follower, and a fanatic. And ideally, you're trying to connect with the fanatics. You're trying to connect with the people that support you for everything you do, directly contribute to you. Those are the people that will listen to every song. They have everything downloaded. They play it in their car. They love everything that you do. Those are the kind of people you kind of want to be able to find the most, rather than just somebody who's going to listen one time, somebody who may throw a heart, or you may put it in one playlist, but that's about it. So I feel like platforms like this are perfect. And as you said, comparing it to Bandcamp is a very astute comparison, because that's exactly what Bandcamp does. Just Bandcamp is not relatively as popular with music, like with audiences. Like musicians kind of have to tell people about it rather than them being able to go and find it on their own. So it really is incredible, though, being able to provide directly to them and acknowledging and being able to benefit off the use of a super fan. That's incredibly important. So I appreciate you guys doing that because I feel like enough people aren't doing that. And 90%, I mean, that's very generous to give to the musician because you could have realistically asked for any percentage you wanted and you opt to chose 90%, which makes me feel like you we share a lot of similar morals with supporting creators because there are a bunch of incredible musicians around every corner of this planet. I mean, I've met musicians from Estonia, from different countries in Africa, from different parts of Oceania, and it really is insane to think that these people are so incredibly talented, yet they don't really have a way to get out there and connect with people. And even the traditional platforms that we have right now, like I used to be a huge user of SoundCloud. SoundCloud went downward spiral because it was bought out by major labels, and that's kind of the downfall of everything. Is when a major label keeps trying to take over and take control. But you know the good thing, Trax, you guys are in your own, completely own sphere of influence here, and no matter how hard major labels try, they can't get to the kind of stuff you're doing because they not only do they not have the manpower, they aren't on that paradigm shift yet. It's going to take them 5 or 10 years before they even think of going into the realm of where you guys are at. So I just wanted you to know that you are very far ahead of empowering creators and supporting musicians and being able to get people to listen and interact in a different way, because it's important to highlight that the music industry goes in cycles. It changes every 5 or 10 years, and that's why it's so hard to keep up with. And as we're seeing this new cycle shift, live performance is going into more of a performative art, which means like it's not enough to stand there at a booth and DJ anymore. You have to provide something else. You have to provide visuals. You have to provide some kind of performance art to be able to. So that whole thing is changing. So same as supporting creators and being able to, you don't just go and buy their music on iTunes anymore. That's old hat. That's Web 2. This is really directly how it's going to be the easiest for them, and it honestly takes out a lot of the payment processing pain as well. Because even with getting payments from Bandcamp, that can be a pain. Getting payments from distribution aggregators, when you go and sign up to have your music distributed on Spotify, a lot of those aggregators take 15 to 20% right off of the bat just for putting your music on Spotify and such. And then to get paid out is even more of a pain because it has to go through, like, one of them I know uses Payoneer. And Payoneer, you have to request a payout, takes like 2 to 3 days to go to Payoneer, and then takes another day to go to your account. And it's like, musicians need to be like, you need that paycheck. You need to be supported for the art that you're trying to create. So we do have two people that came up to speak, Gritbeat and Coop. So I'm gonna let Gritbeat go first if you want to share your experience with Trax, how it's been empowering you as a musician, and just anything else that you think is relevant to the topic.
Yo, what's good, guys? How we all doing today? Hope we're enjoying our Tuesday. So,
Absolutely, man.
yeah, awesome, man. Yeah, so like for me, I've been in the Web 2 space with music and DJing and doing all that hustle for like over 20 years now. Since I started, like it's such a different thing now with Web3 coming into it. Like it really opens up a lot of doors for the future. I think what Trax is building is one of a kind in its own way. Like I use Sound XYZ, for instance, for NFTs and stuff. But here's the thing with the NFTs, like we're still in the transition from people having this kind of PFP investment. I'm not going to buy an NFT unless I make money off it, instead of seeing it for what it is, a collectible. So we're still very early on that side, but there is no actual like streaming platform. I know there was one that's just recently opened on, like, I don't know what it's called. It's called Ordinals or something, but they're like still only focusing on like the big artists right now from what I saw. Trax is opening up the doors for all of us who are independent and really giving us not only a place to put our music up and stream, but also like sell merch, sell tickets potentially. Who knows what can come out of it in the future? Like there's so many opportunities. And like what you said there, Sage, before, like about the marketing bit, like first, I hate the grind. Like I'm not gonna lie, I hate sitting on spaces every day, having to promote my music. Hopefully, for someone to mint or go and subscribe. As an artist, it's so frustrating. And if like you get anybody, I would pay anybody money to do it for me, so I could sit like 24/7 and just pounce out music. And like that's something that like I see is probably the next step of what we need to look at down the road for independent artists, and like what's the more feasible way, because like sitting 40 hours a week on spaces isn't viable. It takes away from your creativity. That's what I see. But in terms of what Trax is doing, I'm all for it. Like since they reached out to me and I've been starting to like put content out there, I'm still very like low on my content on there, but that's mostly because I'm in the process of collaborating with artists, really, and finishing up my own stuff to start building out more content on the platform and other places as well. But Trax is going to be that main place where I release my music for like streaming, subscribers, etc. down the road, even if I still release on Web 2 platforms. But they're just there to reach the Web 2 people. That's all that I already have, or for the artists that I work with in Web 2. Other than that, it doesn't give me anything else than that.
Yeah, and I mean that grind is just it's tiring. It takes away from the greater whole of you being able to be. I mean, you're a creative person. You are a creative individual who is trying to contribute their art and make them, make it heard so people can enjoy it subjectively and experience that. And when you have to put in all of these business grind mindsets and like none of us are business executives. None of us went to school for any of this stuff, and I tried doing it myself. I mean, when I was running my label, there was a point a couple times where I was the only person. I was the A&R, I was the person running the label, I was the person scouting for new people, I was the person, having to contact marketing affiliates and do promotion, and like it's tiring. And especially when you go and send your music out to get on channels, and as I said, it gets uploaded, and then what's to happen? You don't get any of the cut. Like some of these channels, like our most successful track that got up on Chill Nation, we had a couple other on Trap Nation. It's sitting at like 60 million views or plays or whatever you want to call it. We got none of that. That on YouTube is equivalent to like, I want to say like $20,000 or $30,000, probably more. That figure's probably wrong. It may be even more. I'm not as familiar with YouTube monetization, but that's a lot of money, and we get nothing from that. Basically, their signature agreement says, if we upload it, you're going to sign to say that you get nothing from this. It'll be great exposure for you, whatever. But really didn't do that much. You would figure like having something that big would create a massive amount of traction. Didn't I mean it does something, but when is the artist supposed to start benefiting off of that? I hate the model that they have currently on YouTube, and I hate what they're doing with Spotify's playlists as well, because they have all the editorial playlists that are chosen by people who work for Spotify. So you have people that are working for their platform that are also saying we're going to be the ones to curate and highlight who's most important to us. Okay, what about individual? Like I tried to become a curator on Spotify and get a verified account on Spotify as a curator. It's literally impossible. It's something that's never done. They don't ever do it. I tried to be somebody who curated my own playlists, like, and then Spotify started getting into the game where, hey, you can pay us for promotion. Hey, you can pay us to get on playlists. So I really imbibed with that, man. I empathize with that, and I'm glad that you're going about it the way you have with Trax, because they're seeming to provide a lot of value. And this is the start of a new revolution in Web3, man. This is the start of a whole new mechanism for musicians to be able to empower themselves. And you know what? The major labels and the current music industry infrastructure, they're going to be pretty upset and pretty pissed off when they start figuring out that they can't control this, and they can't be the ones to buy out platforms anymore, or they can't be the ones to individually go and basically police creators to sit there and tell them, oh, well, this is what you're going to get. This is the deal you're getting, and you're going to take it and you're going to accept it. No, that's not good enough. So I just keep grinding, man. I know I know spaces fatigue is a real thing going on to spaces to promote yourself, but honestly, if you get on the right spaces, dude, I have been on a lot of spaces. It doesn't have to be a music space for you to go up and share your music. I can't tell you how many spaces I've been on that were not related to music at all, where somebody comes up and they have a guitar and they want to sing and it's literally incredible. You can so maybe that's my best advice is don't limit yourself when you're on spaces to only being on music spaces. Find people that promote, arts and culture in everything that they do with their community, and never be afraid to share. Never be afraid to message the host or co-host or say, hey, I'm a musician. You guys want some music? You want to reset the room with a cool song here?
Yeah, I agree completely with you because like my approach has always been like I do spaces. It doesn't matter if it's a music space or not. I also, when it comes to the Web3 side, I've utilized my communities of the projects that I'm involved in, whether it's gaming projects or comic book projects or whatever. So I build a very close relationship with those communities, and that's been a really good approach. I've had much more success doing that than going on spaces. Spaces are good, and that's perfectly fine. So like I don't really have that issue in that sense. It's more of the fact that I see that the future, like you were completely right about what with the thing with labels. Like we see these guys kind of like fiddling around in Web3, doing a lot of money grabs right now, trying to figure out what they're gonna do. They're like collabing like with Boss and all these kind of things, trying to get like little NFT projects out there that aren't really going so well. They have some stuff that might be working, but in the end, it's like by the time they realize what's actually happening, platforms like Trax are going to be way ahead of them. That's just what I see now in the future, and the fact that so many of us independent guys and even uh, there's artists, at least from the electronic side that I know, are guys that I've looked up to for my entire career since I was a kid that are already in Web3. You got like Sarah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to
Go,
remember
go ahead,
the
go ahead
device
and
to speak
continue.
up.
Yeah, it's very hard not to hit
All right.
all kinds of these buttons up here. They need it in a different spot. Gribby, you'll just have to unmute your mic if you want to jump back in.
There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, no, so like I was saying, like you're starting to see more and more of these artists. Like for instance, I'm very focused on the electronic side. Even if I do multiple genres, that kind of helps me as an artist because I produce beats for artists. I do Afro beats, I do pop, I do multiple genres. So I have a reach not only through my solo music, but through the artists I collaborate with on the side for other projects. But I found like you get guys like Sarah Main, who's like she's an Ibiza dance music legend. Anybody who's been following dance music for the past 20 years knows about her. She's up right there. And like she's in Web3, for instance. You got guys like BT, who's been around for like 2, 3 decades now almost. You got so many of the older guys slowly starting to get in, and they're starting to launch like their NFT music projects separately without labels and stuff. And that in itself is like a slow shift. The whole industry in itself is very
Yeah, I
shifted
mean,
in half.
we have
It's kind of cut in half.
we have Blau too. Like Blau was yeah,
Oh
he
yeah.
was Blau started out doing like basically like collaborative like so he would take a couple tracks and mix them together and do mashups basically, and that was like something that was unheard of for the time, and now he's pioneering his own little not little but his own platform. I think it's called Royal, and he'll come into spaces. So don't be afraid to reach out to some of those bigger musicians because you'd be surprised. Some of them will get back to you and be like, hey, I don't mind checking out your track, or hey, here's an email and let me know how I can support. Like you would be very surprised. Like I've had Seven Lions support my stuff, San Holo support my stuff. Like not me as a musician, but stuff on the record label. So it's you know what, man. If you don't think it's possible, and if there's any musicians here that genuinely don't believe that you're gonna make it, get that concept out of your head and tell yourself you honestly have to manifest it. With anything you have to manifest it. Don't say if I do this, say when I do this. Take upon that mentality first, and that's going to change everything for you. But I had a Lenium as a Facebook friend before he even blew up, and now you see like he's got national radio airplay. He's collaborated with such huge musicians. Like I've watched musicians go from next to nothing and help them on their journey to where they started releasing on Skrillex's record label Alsa. They started releasing on Steve Aoki's record label Dim Mak, San Holo's record label Bitbird. One of my former artists is actually signed to Bitbird and is doing shows with San Holo. So it's absolutely possible. So if there's anything constraining you and holding you back from reaching out, from messaging the big people that are bigger in the industry, from going up on a space and performing, the best thing I can tell you is to try to quell that the best you can, and just be willing to go out and share your art, share your love, because in the Web3 space, people aren't going to put you down for it. People love it, especially not only hosting your own spaces, Grip, but when you go onto somebody else's space and you're providing like music and culture and entertainment for them. People love it. I heard that for the first time a couple months ago, and I'm like, people are performing music on space. This is great. Like it's such a great way to, rather than, hey, I'm going to talk about my music and this is who I am and this is my space, like going into other places and just showing people. That's part of the experience we're getting into with Web3. And something I like about Swap
Yeah,
is we're showing people why it's fun to be in Web3. We're showing them that entertainment experience hands on. We need to show them why it's fun to be in Web3. We need to show them why your music is great and what's so unique about it, rather than having them understand based off of having it explained to them.
yeah, exactly. I host a space every Friday called Fusion Fridays together with one of my mates in Web3 called Dcoop. And that one's been going really well. We've had Nessie up there. We've had a few artists up there already, JetX also. And like we showcase the guys that we value as well as the music, our own music also and stuff. And that's like been a great approach. Like I have all confidence about the reach. And then when you said about reaching out to like the, let's say, established artists that are in Web3 already, like I'm already working on something that I want to like reach out to, like Sarah Main, for instance, because she heard my music in Tuning In Space. I know, like she said, like I could DM her, and for me, I don't have a barrier for that. I've never really had that barrier, even in real life. If I ran into someone that I admired or that I knew that was like already established, I'm that kind of person who's like, "Yo, what's up?" kind of guy. I go up, I say hello, I introduce, and I talk straight away. And like the way I feel it now is like with Web3, it's much easier because these guys are actually willing to at least give you guidance or potentially collab with you if they feel like you're able to. And that's a huge thing that you wouldn't get that easy in the Web3 or Web2 space, so to speak. And I think that's huge, and especially now being that early and getting that chance to talk to the people that you potentially admired as the established artists go, and if they actually have that time to give you that guidance or maybe even a collab down the road, hey, that's huge. That's
Oh
just a
yeah,
win
absolutely. I
either way.
mean, I've even seen people like Ill the producer, huge. Like has produced tracks, has produced tracks for Eminem. He's produced a couple tracks for my friend Darius. Like it's absolutely possible for this kind of stuff to happen. Just don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself, and don't just start. I understand art is a tough thing because you, as an artist, as a creative type, you are the biggest supporter and the biggest, like, you love your music more than anyone else, but you're also your biggest critic. So it's a very hard balance in between because you love and you hate everything you make, and it's like the creative process in between is what decide what actually what comes out as a product. So I did want to get to some of the other speakers. I do appreciate you, Grippy. I wanted to get to some of the other speakers that came up. Coop, if you're here, we'll go in the order that everybody came up. So, Coop, if you want to share your experience at Trax in the music industry.
Yeah, thank y'all for bringing me up. First of all, peace to everybody on stage. Yeah, I was gonna piggyback off what Grit was saying. The Twitter space burnout is very real, and if that's something we could solve to make us artists, we don't got to do that all the time. That would be something really dope if Trax had that in a roadmap down the road. But I'm looking at, I got on Trax early, and I was looking at this airdrop thing. And me, I got like a kind of like a nerd techie side to me on top of the art stuff. So I went all in, I went deep into that Zealy thing, and I started figuring out all this dope stuff I could do with my community. And I could intertwine like my Twitter followers and my 20,000 IG followers. And even some of my LinkedIn stuff. Like it was really cool, and I'm just wondering if Trax is planning on doing more with this Azili airdrop button because I saw so much cool stuff we could do with that, y'all. I just wanted to point that out. That was a great move. And just hear if anybody else took a look at the airdrop button.
Yeah, I can talk a bit about the airdrop. So we launched that around the time we launched the beta, and the idea behind the airdrop is to reward the people who are the early adopters of the platform. I think it's important. It's one of the benefits you can do with Web3 when you're building in Web3 is have an airdrop and get people on board early and get them invested. So, I'd recommend anyone to go check it out. If you log into Trax, everyone in their sidebar, there's a button, airdrop, and that takes you to the page. And it's kind of just gives you a few different things to do, but really, like Coop was saying, it shows you all of the different things as you complete the task, all of the different things you can be using as an artist to start, earning more, engaging with your fans, different things that you can sell on the platform, how to use it properly, that kind of stuff. So I definitely recommend that. And then sort of, looking down the line, the airdrop will be built in to the app itself. We were talking at the start about the SNS and Trax token, which will be hopefully sometime this year. That's when we can really start doing, we can reward fans can be rewarded for engaging with these artists. Artists can be rewarded for posting content. Artists could be rewarded for being trending or having a piece of content that's driving traffic to the site. So there's so many different ways that you can utilize an airdrop and just reward the people who are early, who are helping you grow. And we're going to be doing all of that.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that. The tipping and the airdrops, it's something I'm surprised we still don't have it on platforms like here. I mean, it's absolutely necessary if you want to reward somebody for their contributions. And there's no better way you can do that by direct instantaneous support. It's a great way to show love and support. So definitely bullish on that and bullish on the fact that you guys are. I mean, that's honestly interesting. Like being able to reward somebody for being trending. I don't think I've ever heard of something like that because usually the only thing you get as a reward for being trending is exposure. And as said, I've heard people tell local DJs when they want them to play shows. I've heard same thing with, music channels on YouTube, like, hey, we'll pay you an exposure. Great. How does that provide for a living for me? Exposure only goes so far, and there's no guarantee to it. But being able to reward creators directly for their contributions to the platform and having the platform grow at the same time as the creators are growing, like, how amazing is that? It's you're building at the same time the infrastructure is building, and there's a lot of mutual benefit in between. So definitely thank you for your take on that, Trax and Coop. Gonna get to Losi if you're here, Losi.
What's I'm here, I'm here. How's everyone? Thank you for having me up here. Shout out to Trax, of course. I it's funny because I think I joined pretty early, if I'm not wrong, Trax, right? In
Yeah,
the in
you were early, yeah.
and and I've seen like such a massive, growth, and it's very cool, like you were just saying about us being able to grow with the platform. I think there's something super cool about that because it's basically like we get to not only kind of like have an input on where the platform's going because everything's just being built as we speak, and things are kind of like changing and developing, but it's also um mutually beneficial, right? Because the more the platform grows, obviously, as early adopters and as early believers, we also see the rewards, which to me has been super fun. I definitely enjoy posting content on tracks. Clearly, I've experienced a ton, and to me, what I really like about it is that for some reason I feel less pressure on, like, oh, like what are people gonna think, or like, oh, will this be kind of like well received, just because it's something that's new, I just feel free to kind of like just experiment, because like they're experiments, so oh, I'm gonna experiment too, right? Like I'm gonna see what resonates with the audience. I'm gonna see what people kind of like vibe with. So I've just been kind of like just putting out all types of content, and I love the fact that there's so many things you can post, right? Like you can do text, you can do video, you can do photos, you can do polls, and you can make it free, you can make it pay for, you can make it subscriber only. Like the possibilities and the combinations are just insane. And I've never seen another platform like have so many just features and combinations of those features to be able to post. And that, I think that's kind of like a unique proposition that Trax is bringing to the table. It's just like the freedom to just have, basically do what you want with your content, which is ultimately how it should be, right? At the end of the day, it's your content, and you decide like how you want to share it and post it, and who you want to share it with. So that's something that has really kept me going back to the platform. And I'm not gonna lie, just seeing those little tips and gains, and people subscribing, and people like paying for a piece of content that I put out, even if it's small, even if it's $1, even if it's one by one, it's super rewarding, and it's something that's motivating. It's like, oh, like people actually like are vibing with this, like people are actually interested in what I put out, and that instant kind of like feedback is super super cool. And then lastly, I definitely enjoy the airdrop thing. I am a huge kind of like I'm very competitive, and just seeing that you can earn XP in different ways. I'm that person who daily kind of like claims her daily XP, her weekly XP, and any other way I can get that XP up. I'm currently number 10 on the leaderboard, trying to get up there to number one. But I mean, there's some people who are very, very good at that, and I have a lot more XP than I do. But yeah, I just wanted to, congratulate Trax, and just for being a team that it's always there, right? Like I know from the first time we had like the onboarding call, I really vibed with them, and they were so nice, kind of like really, front facing, and I love that too. That kind of like one-on-one interaction is something I value a lot. I know the struggle of being an entrepreneur, of like trying to get people to use your product, your platform, like listen to your song, and I just see the effort that they're putting into just organically onboarding artists, trying to really bring value. That's something I also like want to highlight and value about them, and something that's what keeps me coming back to the platform, what keeps me showing up to these kind of spaces to support and just be part of the process. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too. Having almost an element of gamification to where, like, there's something to earn, there's something to compete. Like, I love that about game, like, just actual, like, games myself, because if there's always something to grind towards, if there's always something to be, striving to achieve, it really not only makes you like the platform more, but kind of like beyond just you trying to get your music out to people, it almost has that like internal gamification where you're interested, you're active, you're involved, and you're not only competing for that, for that XP as you said, but you're also helping out the growth of the platform and the growth of the other artists in the process. So not only are you helping yourself by putting contributions on the platform and finding new audiences, but you're helping the growth of the platform. You're helping other musicians by the platform growing to show other people like, hey, there is a way that you can actually do this. Like, I feel like I wish it was easier to take a lot of these really talented musicians and kind of shake them and say, hey, there are other things out here. Get off of Web 2. Like, stop the traditional grinding and just kind of open your mind a little bit and kind of, show people that this is out here. And this is one of the most important experiences in Web 3 is using a very well built interface, a seamless and well built interface to be able to let people experience these kind of platforms like Trax for what they are, rather than, oh well, you're gonna have to create this, and you're gonna have to set up a wallet, and you're gonna have to find a way to interact with the protocol. And it's like no, that's one of the amazing things about this being built on the internet computer. Is the internet computer is a very front facing blockchain. Everything compiles down to WASM. It's a very, very heavily interface driven blockchain. So it I just can't speak enough on how happy I am to hear that there are musicians having such beneficial and great experiences. And seriously, thank you for your contributions, those takes, and everybody here. I'm definitely from connecting here, I'm gonna make sure I listen to your music and support the best I can. And same thing, if you're connected with me, I'm gonna try to be hosting music spaces in the future where I have a bunch of friends from all over Web3 come in and represent their music and be able to share and hang out and talk and support each other, because that's really the one of the most important things at the end of the day is that we connect, we support, and we elevate the mindset that this can be done in a different way than what we were originally taught. Like iTunes and Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple Music, they aren't the only ways to go anymore. And honestly, I think some of these bigger platforms are scared because they know they don't have this kind of they might have the technology, but they don't have the manpower, they don't have the interest. And if you're here and you're participating, you're early. You're very early. What's going on, Dan?
I was going to say, Kyle, maybe that's something we could talk about, hosting a music based space and inviting a bunch of people in, and getting everyone in to share their music, because there's definitely room for that here. I mean, people, especially on the internet computer, have been talking about wanting to do music monetization and supporting artists with Web3 since I got here in mid 2021. It's been a dream of a lot of builders here to see it come to life. There's projects that have tried and failed. There's some that have stayed tried and true. Trax being one, Canistar, being another, and really, there's a lot of great approaches and an infinite amount of possibilities to doing so, from a technological standpoint and from a marketing perspective. And honestly, it's like a perfect product market fit for anyone willing to take it on. So, like you said, that's right. You got to get people here. You got to get people knowing that these opportunities exist, and it really, I think, can change the game for musicians and marketers, managers, and everyone alike on the team. So I look forward to seeing it. Maybe that's something we can help contribute to. What do you think, Kyle? Before I
That
pass it off to Grit.
that is something that we're doing. With the Sunday Spew, it was like a weekly recap that then also had like points in the discussion to highlight artists. And like tomorrow, even we have Hachi Mujin, who's in our artist spotlight series. So like there are spaces which we are already doing, to highlight artists and stuff. With Because like for those that don't know, like we have a news app coming out, which is going to also have like sports and entertainment. So we're trying to get a news app into the hands of the public, essentially, that will also highlight what's going on in crypto news from multi-chain aspects and so on. So highlighting artists and stuff is definitely in our future, and the evolution of that kind of comes into like our digital magazine that will be like XR. Like we basically want to have augmented reality and stuff that gets in the hands of the public to show like why it's cool to be, in Web3, music specifically, because we can definitely do like live entertainment and stuff and connect our magazine with an XR experience that's super immersive into a metaverse world where these people could also be performing. And we could even take it a step further with having in real life events where these people are connecting from the magazine into the metaverse as well, performing live for people across the globe. So definitely, like all of which what we're trying to do, just taking a bit to build. So
Yeah, it definitely is. It's definitely a lot of tech infrastructure that's under the way, but we've got a good team on it. It's going solid, great progress with things, and things are moving quick for us. So as that moves forward. We look forward to hopefully empowering platforms like Trax and others to utilize that kind of stuff to empower their musicians and clients even more so. But I'm going to pass it off to Grit. I've seen he says his hands up for a bit, and then Coop, I got you after that.
Yeah, I'll be short. Like, I think good, like, I want to first shout out Tuning In down there, Samantha. Like, what she's doing to showcase all of us artists for free also is amazing. And I would really think that Trax and Tuning In should do a collaborative thing on that front, because, like, what they're putting in, both of them, for artists, for all of us, at least out on the Web3 side, put those two heads together. I think they could do a lot for like empowering artists and getting us all really cool reach. That would be cool to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Go for it, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything's in the realm of possible, and I mean, it's very clear that Trax is here for the purpose of empowering creators. So, I think there's a lot that can be done on the collaborative side, whether it's utilizing Spaces or any other platforms. I mean, we do have we do have Discover in the IC as well as a socialfi platform, and they also would be a great source of trying to utilize, to do Web3 on Web3 and talk about music. They're another platform that's built on the internet computer as well. So there's a lot of music portals that exist on there. So that may be another, relatively interesting place for you to be able to share and promote and collaborate as well. What's up, Coop?
Yeah, y'all mentioned the metaverse, and I was not trying to talk about the project I'm working with now, but we bought a plot in crypto voxels, and we've been doing live shows like in the metaverse, but we would actually go to real live concerts, put up a TV screen facing the stage so the people on stage could see the metaverse, and then another camera shooting out at the crowd. And we did this successfully with the hip hop game project I'm working with. I'm curious if that's in the roadmap, so that we as the early artists that really are pushing your platform could maybe get up on the pedestal on stage in these metaverse parties, and maybe help y'all promote tracks while we get that first chance to get in the metaverse, maybe get some custom skins or VRMs, if y'all know what those are, the virtual I don't know what it stands for, but basically it allows you to travel from one metaverse intellectual property to another one using that, wearing that same outfit. And I know a couple of the metaverses are doing this. Spatial IO is allowing you to go into a portal to jump to like the VIP, whatever, VIPE something. But I'm just curious if y'all are on these VRMs, and goodness gracious, the potential of what we could do with Roblox and partnerships. Like, goodness gracious, y'all, like, wow. I mean, it just blows
You
my
have
mind. I didn't get any
you
sleep.
have picked literally the best the best stage to pose that question to, because my brother Daniel right here, actual real life brother, my brother Daniel here, he can definitely speak on metaverses more than Kyle or I can.
Yeah, just to like real quick chime in on that. Um, Daniel is the lead developer on Outpost Metaverse, and like for myself, like our goal is to connect these IRL experiences into a metaverse, as well as I mentioned, have it come from a place where someone could scroll through the magazine that we're gonna do, which is like involving XR. Have it where you can jump from that magazine that could be showing an IRL event, or rotate it into the metaverse where you could go into a room and be as your character. But yeah, I'll let Daniel kind of tackle the metaverse side of things, because he's obviously the best to speak on like the technicals with it. And Outpost is striving for solving interoperability amongst worlds. So
Yeah, so the Outpost is a project that started as a really great collaboration between a few individuals from different teams, and we kind of became a community of builders and people that wanted to contribute to the project. But essentially, it's a metaverse project that's been open now for about a year and a half in development, and it aims to solve a few key things that we think are important for not only the metaverse itself, but for doing things like live events and kind of embodying the Web3 ethos of NFT ownership and true asset ownership and data ownership. One of which is interoperability. So the 3D models that you see in a lot of these metaverses, these avatars, why can't you walk to another person's world with them? Like, why can't you go into another metaverse with your avatar? And why is it so hard for teams to collaborate with those avatars to the point where you have to get a 3D team to kind of re-rig a whole model with animations and everything else just to get it to be able to work in one other metaverse? So we're kind of building out tooling for other creators to use that they can build their own metaverses with that embody that sense of interoperability with the characters and the 3D models, so people could build their own worlds, their own games, or whatever they like, and have it natively and automatically kind of be a metaverse by being inherently interoperable from the core out. And then we would add multiplayer to this in a sense where, if you connected to what Kyle was saying with the digital magazine, now you could say, have a QR code for a featured musician that's playing a show, and you scan the QR code and it loads up one of these metaverse rooms or worlds that maybe has even been personalized by that musician. So it's a unique room or a unique experience each time. And then you can go in there and join other players and not have to worry about all of the technical deficits that come along with, does my avatar work in this world? Am I going to be able to enter this room? And we've even gone as far as to use a web-based game engine so that it serves from the internet computer blockchain. So it's actually an on-chain metaverse engine completely. So it loads in your web browser. So there's no like download, there's no like anything like that. So you realistically could take a QR code, scan it, load up a world, and then if you add something like a VR headset or AR technology that comes in a lot of phones nowadays or is compatible with them, then you can really, really get truly immersive and interactive experiences, from simple baseline things like a digital magazine or a news app or even a web post. So that's kind of the whole feel of the metaverse and the whole aim for it. And we're still working on coming out with a few cool things for the alpha. So if you guys end up following me, I do post about it when those things come out. If not, there is it's at Enter Outpost is the handle for the Outpost Metaverse Twitter. And you should see some updates come there sometime in the coming weeks as we've been organizing a lot of things on the backside. So I appreciate y'all. Just if you want to follow up with that, or if you guys have any ideas, I'm more than open to them.
I just tagged Outposts, the Dream article at the top. So if you guys want to follow that, you can. And then I would like to get to, if Coop, you didn't have any more questions at that, I'd like to get over to the next artist to speak.
One quick question, then I'm gonna step down and let some of the other artists come up. So yeah, tying back to everything we were just talking about with the metaverse, I'm like a big nerd with Web3, so I dabble in stuff. I spend thousands of dollars trying to learn some new tech, and I was messing with dynamic NFTs about a month ago, and I learned how they work. And I basically in a nutshell, it's like you create a core, which is like a picture of a table or something, and then you create these extensions that all of the community can create these extensions that basically go into your store. Y'all vet each extension to make sure it's nothing bad or something for the kids or something. But once y'all vet all the extensions, basically people can come into this store, buy something I created to add on to that blank canvas, and it's like a whole can of worms of like cool stuff we could do, like even with stem files, y'all. Like as artists collaborating, I could put my drums and have it a certain way, and somebody else could take that and mix it up with their vocals. Like, man, this is so cool what we're all doing, y'all. But anyway, just wanted to ask y'all about the dynamic NFTs, and then I'm gonna step down.
Yeah, actually, like it's ironic that you bring it up because dynamic NFTs is basically like a staple of the internet computer. Like we could have it where For instance, actually, I'll use an example because Bitcoin Flower is like, if you're not familiar with it, Bitcoin Flower was created by Ludo, and that's like the most well-known, like, I guess, like art piece in France revolving like Bitcoin, right? Like, so it's like a legendary, like art piece, right? And basically, the art petals on the dynamic NFT start changing color to green and rotating into other different things. They are very like reflective, based off of the volatility of Bitcoin's price. So that's how they're using dynamic NFTs, and you can do it in numerous ways. Like, for instance, I guess obviously like with price fluctuation, but you could do it based off of pulling data from if it's over 95 degrees out in, for instance, Miami or something like that. You could base it off of location data to make your NFT change, and you just do a bunch of different like cool things with it. I've had someone that wanted to build a project for watch, a digital collectible watch that you would also get in person, and the watch run off of using, internet computer tech, where you would never hear the same song ever again off of the song. It would just be constantly looping music when you enabled the sound, but you would be pulling data or whatever it was. Maybe it was AI music or whatever. It would be pulling these sounds so that you would never hear it again for the rest of lifetime. So there's a lot of ways you can do cool dynamic NFTs. It's just how creative can we get with them, and it's one of the cool use cases of like using NFTs on IC, which are stored on chain. So super cheap to do so, might I add. So and there's no gas fees essentially. So there's a reverse gas model. So it's extremely effective for cost purposes for entrepreneurs and builders, creators, and all that to utilize the tech. So definitely check that out. And then if you got all your questions answered there, Coop, I'm going to pass it off to, is it Rocket?
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the space.
Thanks. Yeah, so I don't know what to say because like we've been switching to metaverse topic.
Oh, there's so much going on. But how's your experience been with Trax, and what's a little bit about your music that we can get to know about you?
Okay, thank you for asking that. So, first time I joined Trax, actually, I was like shocked how Trax could find me because, and like it's like literally the perfect timing that time because I just like get out from my label. Basically, I got scammed by my label. So, yeah, I found Trax. Not doing anything that time. I just like submitting like this new music on SoundCloud, for like one of the projects. And then, yeah, I got messaged by Trax and I was like, dude, you can't believe like how happy I am that time because I always like, think about like, if only there's like a Web3 platform, like, for music, for like, supports musician better. Like it could be like so great because I found like a lot of like amazing musicians, but like they're just not really like getting enough spotlight. And sometimes, like there's like a lot of Discord concerts. Sometimes there is like, events like, for example, for singers, there's like karaoke events. But, the audience sometimes is just like, oh my God, yeah, you did a great job. And then that's it. Like they are just saying that to grind sometimes, even though not 100% of them. But it's like maybe 40% of them. Like, sometimes they just like, spamming to grind and it's not really like appreciating. So when all of this music platform like for Web3 people just like popping up like now, like for example, like Bitcoin, we have Trax, and then like there's Sound XYZ for ETH, and then like there's like 1-2 in Polygon that I just like released to. It's like kind of amazing because it's like filter those people that is really supporting a real musician that is like, I'm not saying real musician, but like I mean like musician that they just like really attracted to support the music too, which is amazing. And then actually, I don't know. It just feels like all of this, like the metaverse chat a few minutes ago. how like now we can just like perform on those metaphors, and then like people just like appreciating it, and then like people just like keep building this type of things. Actually, it's really really like cool, because like us musicians feels like heard better. And then what the Sage said in like in the beginning about like how all of this like playlists on YouTube like featured your song getting a lot of like millions of views, and then you just like got paid nothing. Like that is really a struggle for like like us indie musician, like not really like in a big level, because we actually, it's not that we don't have any talent, or like we're not talented enough, or like we have bad music. We just like need someone, or like some people to hear us, you know like it's like really frustrating. Like, and then like when they found us, like sometimes it's just like not enough to compete with all of these people, that is musician that exists with like super big level, and like we got buried. And I feel like in the Web3 we have like more chance to that, because people here is like really appreciating more, like at least like the one that is like in a Web3 music space. So I kind of like so glad that now it's a thing, so we can just do our thing, and then like the platform is kind of like help us to do the marketing job sometimes with their audience. So yeah, that's just what I had in mind.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, so, and it's unfortunate sometimes because some of the best musicians in the world are never heard. They're not given the market share reach to get their products heard from people, and it's rather unfortunate. Like the talent that we have in this world and the amount of talent that's still unseen baffles me.
Yeah, dude. And then when people hear them, they're like, "Why aren't we hearing this? Where did this come from? How are there such talented people behind the scenes like this?"
Exactly. And like, a lot of these record labels will pressure crappy deals onto artists and stuff, and it's just rather unfavorable. And then they burn out from exhaustion, and it's just not the way of going about the creative process. You can't necessarily force people to produce all this content. You're going to get burnt out when it's not something that you actually want to do, and as far as like regarding how we've seen the music landscape kind of shake out. If you look at like TikTok, we have all these artists that are performing in their room and so on. The next logical like step forward is to give people a platform in which they're not just in front of us like a camera, right? It's to get them in a room with their community, their audience, and all that, where people can dance and enjoy their music and have fun while being online with these things. So I think that's such a like integral part of the growth of the music industry, because we're seeing so many creatives grind it out on TikTok and to get their music heard in front of people. And if you can give them like a virtual concert setting, it's going to take the industry a lot further. So I think like the first steps is to get creatives into like the Web3 where they're owning their music and they're not taking these crappy deals that are just you know stressing them out. And I shouldn't say all of them are crappy. I'm just I think we just understand that if you don't own at least most of your music, you're kind of getting screwed over when you're the one creating it. So, the logical step is to give people, virtual rooms in which they can, really embrace their community and have a good time online with. Because we're seeing it with, um, for instance, like Twitch and YouTube, where these concerts are going online and live streaming, right? And there's like maybe 20, 30,000 people in the chat room and they're just chatting. Well, what if they could all be dancing at that concert and experiencing like a Coachella or a Bonnaroo or whatever online with their friends? Like that makes it so much more affordable and enjoyable for these people. And it also gives venues a chance to still make revenue and maybe bring costs down for going to these concerts in real life. I think that's where we're going to be heading, but I don't know. We're still a long ways away from that. you know. And I think as far as Adam, you can go ahead.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of things that I want to see change right now. Like in the music industry, I mean, Ticketmaster and Live Nation have taken over the entire live event sphere, and the fact that they're artificially raising ticket prices, um, uh, Tom Petty actually said that in a song back in the '90s called "Money Becomes King," and said how we used to be able to go to concerts and be able to go and see a musician and have such a great time, and now we can't even afford the tickets to go to these shows, and it's all about people that are paying for $4,000 VIP packages. They're not even meeting the artist; they're getting a glorified merchandise pack. Can you imagine spending that money on the musician themselves rather than paying for merchandise, like being able to get that in the act of contributing to them directly to them rather than through all of these little things that are set up that where the money goes directly to the marketing agency or the touring agency, or it just there's way too much red tape and gatekeepers in web 2 and the music industry, and hopefully this will help empower people a little bit more and get the control back in your hands, because that's what we want to see. And whether it's the swap, whether it's any of the communities we're connected to, you always have a voice here, you always have an ability to share your art. We're never against, we do the swap spew on we do the spew spaces on the weekends. We're more than happy to have musical guests on there. So it's just very important to highlight, and we appreciate all the musicians that have come up today and kind of shared their experience, because we want to hear that experience. We want to hear what you're going through, because I'm not a musician. I was for a brief period of time, and then I was a creative in the music industry, and it frustrated me. It made me mad. It made me want to go into like Sony or Warner and find the first executive that I could and just scream, because like, you are the problem. You are what's stopping people from being able to get out there and share their. And then anytime there's a viral trend, it's an annoying song that has no good context, that has no all of it is just annoying and cringy. And why are we not letting people, helping people go viral that are just incredible musicians? So you sit back and say, wow, we're the, like, if we remember Susan Boyle, back on one of those TV shows, like, people are just blown back. They're like, wow, like the artistry and the musicianship behind this is just incredible. It wasn't about it wasn't about all these social cues and look, I stood up inside of a laundromat and played a song, and it's just that's not what it's about. I think we're losing the gravity as to why we actually care about music and the actual performative art, rather than the trending aspect behind it. And it's frustrating. If you can make it work for your own brand, that's great, but you shouldn't have to. That's the whole point of what I would like to try to get to. So I know we have Meta Malone up here. We didn't say hi to you yet, so how you doing?
Hell yeah, what's good, family? Yeah, man. Peso's like, yo, Trax is in a space, and you know what I mean. They're doing so much for the community of musicians. We've been, watching them, and so we had to pop in here. How's everybody doing? What's good, Swoop?
Doing well. Thank you for coming up. I appreciate your time. What kind of music do you put out?
I put out music for the world, man. Web3 music, blockchain music. A little bit of everything for the future of all of us. Meet me on that blockchain. We're just getting started. Meta in space. So she says we go harder. Floating in spaces and drifting away. We're out of this world and we're about to go farther. A little bit of everything. It's about the blockchain. And yeah, you catch my lead single on Rarible right now. But again, it's like what she was talking about earlier about Trax providing the opportunity, what musicians like us been looking for. You know what I mean? Like that version of Spotify, that version of Apple, but actually gives back and uses the blockchain to give back to the artist. So that's why we're here. That's why we popped in this space. Shout out to my fan Poison Peso down there, and we in here.
I really appreciate that. I tagged your pinned post on your X account. I always have to mention X now because it's crazy since Twitter's changed. But yeah, I appreciate that, and I love that you're making music for the world, not for just a specific group of people. Like a lot of people have to go to niches and all that. So I really love your energy with saying it's directly for the world, not for specific people. So it's inclusive.
Yeah, and what's beautiful is like we heard Coop talking about it, and then I seen Daniels on your metaverse side. So, as well, me and Peso, and we're part of a group called United Realities right now. But as solo artists, we've been performing in the metaverse for over a year and a half to 2 years, and we've been doing 1 to 3 shows a week, and multiple metaverses from spatial to Decentraland. We're working on Hyper 5 voxels, we monoverse. So we've been dibble dabbling, and that's what we do is we bring our music to the stages, and like he was explaining, branching that into the thing and bringing it into the IRL. And so that's our slogan right now, is from the URL to the IRL. And so this past year, me and Poison had the opportunity to hit up NFT NYC 2023, and so we hit up the Webstock stage as well as the main stage at NFT NYC. And so for Webstock, they did that too as well. They had it streamed into the metaverse, into spatial, so everybody got to see our live performances as they were happening in the metaverse while we were in New York City. And another cool thing about what the QR codes and what we got going on right now and having these capabilities is, we got an event coming up this Thursday right now, and we're doing Web3 interviews and Web3 music videos. And so 2 weeks ago we did live performances, and we had them streamed where we all performed. And then last week we did a movie night, and this week we're doing the Web3 interviews. And so if you look at the bottom of our flyer, we have a QR code that you can scan, and it'll bring you right into the metaverse, as well as we have the URL, unitedrealities.live. And so these are extensions that we're doing right now to, bridge that gap and try to create that foundation for a solid bridge for the to onboard people and bring them into music and the metaverse without the structures and the barriers. And so I appreciate everything you guys are doing. It sounds like we're both right up the same alley, and yeah, man, let's definitely talk behind the scenes. And shout out to Trax. Let's go.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And yeah, I tagged or pinned the United Realities up at the top there. Just want to make sure that's the right one, so that everyone can go check that out. As far as like spaces and stuff go, like we're very open to having projects up. It's got to be like the right timeline, right? So I am full time Web3. So when we find a date that works out, we're happy to do that, as well as like for individual artists. If you want to come up, we will definitely give you the opportunity of having your own personalized space. So Daniel, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, we probably honestly ran into you. Sage, me, and Kyle were all at NFT NYC. We're actually applying. I'm applying. I think Kyle is to be a speaker this year in the 2024. So if you're going to be there again, you'll likely see us there. Yeah, I was gonna just ask you if you were planning on going again, or I'd love to link up and meet you in person.
Yeah, 100%. We just got the emails yesterday as well. We're working through a bunch of things, so yeah, we're almost guaranteed to be on a few panels, as well as working on a couple satellites. We're definitely going to be at Webstock. That's family now, and we're in the middle of working on our own thing. So we could definitely talk in the backgrounds, and maybe do something even bigger. You never know, man. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'd love to help organize a satellite event or something. I know that's something Kyle and I have a huge interest in as well. And actually, me and Sage are actually both local to New York. We're upstate a bit. I'm about 3 hours from New York, so it's really just a drive or a little train trip for me. So
Yeah, it's a little bit further for me. I'm up in the Adirondacks, so it's like 5 or 6 for me, but still New York, baby, still out here, and that's I mean, for at least for Daniel, that's like he's been to New York City more times than I can possibly count, so he knows the vibe around there and the best places to go to, the best spots to hit up. I mean, it's a really great place if you're a musician to kind of like help share your culture. And yeah, it would be amazing to run into you guys at NFT NYC 2024. It's a pretty great event. Satellite events there are just fantastic. Some of the best some of the best events I've ever been to in my life. So you'd be surprised, man, if you reach out a little bit and keep connecting with people. Might be able to throw a bigger satellite event. Collaborate with a bunch of different projects and see what we can get set up there. Daniel, I wonder on the NFT NYC thing. I wonder if I can get a cat pirate together, and him and I can do a presentation on LARPing in Web3. It would be fantastic. How to LARP in Web3, how to exist without actually existing in Web3. It would be absolutely incredible. Real quick, while we're all here, I brought up J Street, because so J Street's is somebody from I hang out with in the Supreme Kong spaces, and he's a musician himself as well. Always comes up, always represents. I saw him. He actually found his way in here, which is amazing, and I appreciate you coming out and supporting and representing. So, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself as a musician, what you're doing, and like how you go about promoting your stuff on Web3, and maybe if you're what your take is on Trax and what they're doing to change the game a little bit for music creators.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me on stage. Thank you. I'm J Street. I'm from Nigeria, and I do Afrobeat music. I do all kind of genres of music, man. In short, I do everything. I'm a musician. I'm an entertainer, and I'm a studio brat, man. Cause I've been in the studio all my life. So, yeah. Okay. I just got into Web3, was it towards last year ending. Like I just saw people like in the spaces and all that. So I just started coming to spaces and attending spaces, just listening and just learning about, trying to know what's up with it. Then uh met few people, shout out to Trax. I met few people that got me onboarded on other platforms and uh so here in Africa, I think the Web3 is not really like even known like that, and it's hard for you to like start convincing like other people, like other artists, like okay, this is another platform, this is even bigger than Web2, and this is the main feature here. But like people will just look at they won't give you that all the attention. They'll be like, okay, we just see they don't like because people are not even used to it. They are not used to having a wallet and have to mint song. They just know how to get your songs on Spotify and other places. But yeah, I've been learning going through and so far we've been the community has been getting bigger. The love I receive from Web3. I mean that's what man Web3 just changed me. It changed the way I even been looking at things, how to do my music. Because normally I just want to get my music heard. I mean that's the main goal for me as a musician, just to put my music out there and meet new people, meet collections, and meet people that will actually listen to my song and feel my song. Like main goal is for me to just impact people with my music and for people to listen to my story and know what's happening. Yeah, and to put hope and love and everything. Yeah. So but doing that it requires a lot of being you coming on and doing all that, attending. I don't know much about music NFTs until I got onboarded like as I first got onboarded on NF Tempo using the XRPL before I met Trax and like they got me onboarded on the Trax platform. Although I don't know much about the tracks. I'm trying to post but I can't post on tracks like I'm trying to get onboarded but I don't know how to post because they just got me onboarded and they helped me post my song at that time. Yeah, is a good platform and I just want my song to be out there and people streaming my song through that platform are telling me yeah they have been receiving positive like yeah man they like it like even though they just want to support and just listen they like to go there and just streaming. I be like yeah you can go you can stream and if you want to support you can just buy and just and they be like yeah. So far I just have my first song Jaye is on Tracks, but I'll post the jumbo chunk later. Yeah, so far I'm still getting to onboard other Web3 now as we grow, as they see how things been. I'm getting them on board, like we're getting on board into the system now. More and people are beginning to know that okay, this is the next thing and like this is the future Yeah, we just have to go, step by step since I'm still learning and still going through some other stuff like that. Yeah. But so far so good. I've not.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that, man. I absolutely love it, and I love the fact that you're directly from Africa because you're exactly the kind of musician that could benefit from the outreach that's happening here, with Trax and with the support that's to be found on Web3, man. Like, it's incredibly important, and it's amazing to have musicians from every corner of the world. Like, I value people that from places that I've never been to or places that I don't hear much about, because it gives you an opportunity to share your truth through music, share who you are, what you're about. And in current American culture, we don't see as much of that, and that's something I wanted to do when I was running a record label, was take people from every corner of the world and say, hey, you may have never heard of this place, but look at what amazing stuff is out there. Like, you never knew about this. Check this out, connect with this, and be able to actually support a musician that not only would deserve and respect your support, but be able to benefit off of growing in an ecosystem that supports creators. And that's just honestly amazing, man. I hear you play your music all the time in the Supreme Kong spaces, so I really appreciate you coming up, and the fact that you're getting involved with Tracks. They have a lot to provide, in the way of being able to directly benefit you as a creator, and not having to go through selling a music NFT or going through a traditional streaming platform. The Trax platform is directly created so that it can support you on the ground level, and as you grow, the platform grows, the other people around you grow, and your fans, your listeners, can give directly to you without any red tape, without any nonsense. It goes directly to you, the artist, and helps you be able to do what you want to do, which is be a musician. And it's a hard thing for musicians to be able to live off of the stuff that they make, and that's the point where we'd like to see all of you guys get to. So, Jersey, I know we got you up here. I know you're also from Africa as well, so would love to get your takes on music in Web3 and musicians reaching out and growing themselves more. So what's going on, man?
All right. GM, Sage, how are you doing today?
How's it going, man? GM.
GM, I'm good. Everybody as well. I see you, J Street. I see everybody. I see you, my African brother. I really don't have much to say, right? I'm not a musician. I just saw my brother, my African brother, saying a whole lot, and I felt, yeah, I just have to like say something as well. It's nice seeing your brother man do something unique. I would say and say it again. It's a very unique thing actually, bringing a form of entertainment or another area, bringing it or imbibing in the Web3 space, because it's not really can I say, like, you see, there are different niches that are very, very can I say fluid, like it's flooded already, right? But this particular niche is just one out of 100 that is actually leveraging on it, and it's more like an innovation, right? And I would say it's early. The earlier the better, because it actually makes more sense passing infos through music, and it actually touch minds rather than any other thing would actually do, because you are flowing with it. Definitely, even no matter what you are actually going through or anything, once you hear the music and then the music is flowing through you, definitely you should flow with the rhythm, right? It's a way of passing information. And I would say this to you, J Street, right? There are Web3 events you can actually come or get to, or there are ways you can actually do it. There was a Web3 event, I don't know, since you say you just somebody to the space, there was one that was held in Ibadan on your state, July. That one was even massive. But there's another one coming up October 27, 28 here in Lagos. So there are Web3 events you can actually come up, show yourself, shoot yourself. Basically, you actually coming in through music, you actually need to join spaces. Like, I host spaces weekly, and you can actually come on board, shoot yourself. Just it's a free flow. I will give you the flow, because I really love people doing something unique and something massive, because trust me, everybody loves music. There's nobody, at least in a day, you can't do without hearing music, right? So you would actually want the flow. It's a way of easing off stress and all of that. So
you doing something very unique is actually very surprising, and I give it to you for that, because it's not everybody that can actually be shameless about what they do. Some people would actually start up and they will be shameful with what they are doing. I, as a person, when I started, I could not come up on space like this. I was very shy of joining spaces. But then here am I, this is me on space talking. I host spaces for anybody, for any project, and I will flow with you no matter the country you are from. So that's how I got to meet Sage and some other people I've met on the space, you know. So I give it to you, J Streets. Keep doing what you are doing. I'll give you a follow already. It's a way of connecting with you. We are here in Nigeria. I can connect with you any day, anytime. So keep it up, brother. And don't forget that Web3 event I told you. It's a way of connecting. And moreover, there's someone I would like you to connect with in the Web3 space. I forgot Exploit. Yes, he's someone that does something like you do too. So connect with people. Don't limit yourself. I started very can I say, I started with, because when I started there was really no much handy info. Everybody was just trying to like fight for themselves, unlike now where you can easily get clarity through spaces and all of that. So keep doing what you are doing, keep showing up every day. Consistency is what pays off, right? So thank you very much, Sage. I appreciate everybody on the space. One love, everybody. Thank you very much, my brother.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for coming out. One love to you as well. And if you know any musicians who are in Web3 from from where you live that you want to get them a little bit further connected, we'd be more than happy to try to connect them on the back channels. And same thing with getting them on tracks. It's a very important thing to be able to get them visibility and just get them out there and be able to show people what amazing art they're creating. So I appreciate, and you know what, you are right by saying, to me, there's three things that transcend language. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Music, art, and food are three of the things that it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter where you live, they go past language because you don't need to have that language to understand something or to appreciate it for the amount of value and the time and the effort and the passion that somebody has put into it. So I appreciate you very much on that. Um, Trax, did you have anything to say real quick, and then we'll go to Tech?
No, it's a great conversation. I've got to jump off because I've got a call in 5 minutes. But if anyone has any questions on what we're building, heard anything in the space you want some more info on, you can just DM us on Twitter. We're very responsive as a team. So yeah, look forward to kind of connecting with anyone who's new in the DMs. Appreciate all the artists who've come out, shared their experiences. Thank you for that. And yeah, this has been a great space, but unfortunately, I gotta go.
Yeah, we appreciate your time, Trex. And yeah, we'll definitely recommend artists to come your way as well. Really appreciative of you coming up today, and looking forward to connecting more in the future. And we can have you back up at a time if you'd like. I'm not sure how soon you'd want to come up, but you're always welcome. We try to have open discussion spaces as much as possible. So you're always welcome.
Fantastic. Likewise. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. See you all soon.
Yes, thanks so much. Take care of yourself, man.
Yeah, Trex is really a great group. They have a whole crew of people. They came out to the ICV community conference, and they have a whole, like, I don't know how many people, 5, 6 different people who came out and got to meet all of them. And they're a really great bunch of guys from the UK. So we appreciate them and appreciate the contributions they're bringing to the internet computer. For anybody who isn't aware, Trax is a music platform that's built on the internet computer. A little bit of a different blockchain for people who are normally used to Ethereum or Polygon or the other chains out there, but it's very different. It's very nice. There aren't gas fees on the internet computer, so it's a very different experience if you haven't tapped in and gotten to experience that for yourself. It's a whole different kind of thing to tap into because the cost of data storage is low. You can buy NFTs without paying the ridiculous gas prices. So it's something that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, and if you haven't experienced it, maybe Trax can be your first experience into it. And everybody here at the Swap as well. We're on the IC as well, so we can definitely show you a lot of cool platforms and stuff that's out there that people are building. Because some of the developers here some of the smartest people I've ever met, and I'd argue that they may be even working harder than the people who are on Ethereum, because there's so many more unique things that can be provided based on, the cost of data and stuff being on chain. It's very different than, oh hey, we launched an NFT project and we have a staking mechanism. Great, everybody has an NFT project with a staking mechanism. There's so much more you can do with stuff here, so we'd be more than happy to explain or show that to people if you tap in with us and keep updated. We're going to be highlighting a bunch of different projects on the Internet Computer and further out in Web3 on other chains as well. And it's going to throw some flowers to the Swap and Daniel. The three of us, I feel like make a really great team for trying to help people experience Web3 for Web3. You have Kyle on the visionary founder side, being able to provide that experience of what it's like to create a project, what it's like to start from the ground up on an ecosystem. You have myself on the community side. I'm a community builder and have always spent time growing communities, talking to people, getting to understand the perspectives. And then you have my brother Daniel, who's very heavy on the tech side, the server side, the developing side, the platforming side, the interfacing side, pretty much everything to do with tech. So, he handles, being the CTO, he handles all of everything to do with tech on the Swap and otherwise, and understands blockchains very distinctly. So the three of us very much make a unique experience and use case for being on Web3, because usually you just have a founder talking your ear off about everything, but here we have a little bit of insight from the three of us. I did want to get to Poison. I know you've been up here for a little while, and I didn't want you to think we were tossing you to the side. So if you want to share your music experience real quick, man, we appreciate you coming up.
What's good, y'all? Yeah, definitely had to come through, man. Grand Rising, definitely had to come through for the tracks. Just been incredible. I got introduced to them probably like 6 months ago from Lucky Guzman, which was like one of the first guys that was actually going to be on the platform. Got a chance to see what they were going to be building, and they released it. Probably like what's it been? Maybe like 2 or 3 months, like 2.5 months now. So just during that time was just willing to see what they was gonna, come with, and it was super fire. I'm dropping like a lot of content on there. Like Meta Malone said, we perform in the metaverse a lot. It's taken me, a couple places in the last year. So a lot of the performances I might post on Trax. I know it's a song on Trax that's nowhere else, even though we're in beta testing. So just just like Loshi said, just testing those levels. You know what I'm saying, and making sure they hitting right. You know what I'm saying. But other than that, I'm just a cool cat sitting in the back soaking up game. So definitely a great space to be in. Learned a lot today. Much love for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate having you up, man. And as I said, we're going to do more music-focused spaces and events in the future. So we're going to make sure it's very possible, accessible, and easy for people to collaborate with each other, for people to share their music, and for people to be able to connect with people who really love music in general. Connect directly with your fans, your followers, and be able to have them give to you and you give directly to them. Have them, tell you what they think about your music, what it means to them, because a lot of the time with musicians on the Web2 platforms, it goes unseen. It's in the form of YouTube or SoundCloud comments, and it kind of goes. It's hard with everything that's going on in the music industry to see that kind of stuff, but when you run into those experiences from some of your diehard fans, and they tell you how much a song means to you and how much it changed their day or changed their life or how much of an impact it had on them, the meaning of the song, or change their mood, to be able to do that for people and have them bring that back to you and tell you that experience, it's incredible, because as a musician you never really expect that kind of stuff. You're like, you're creating and being passionate and sharing your art, and then somebody connected with it and said, you know what, I felt that passion, that meant a lot to me, it had a personal impact on me. And being able to create that dialogue between the listeners and the people who are creating art and music in Web3, it's one of the most important things right now. It's not being talked about enough, and we definitely like to try to highlight and do more events. I know somebody was teasing the idea of like a Twitter or an X has got talent kind of thing, and I would like to try to move forward with that kind of idea where, we get 10 different people up who all showcase their music, and get sponsors, get the communities to come in and support everybody, and hand out prizes, for people that are being voted on by the judges, and just really do a lot more for people, so people can benefit off of their music, off of their art, and off of their contributions. Because in the end of the day, your music, your art, it's your truth, it's your passion, it's what really means something to you, and you can hear that in somebody's song, whether it's production or whether it's your voice. You can hear how strongly willed somebody is behind the music that they create. So we really do appreciate that, and appreciate everybody for coming out today. I mean, it's been a wonderful turnout, and definitely, like Swap shared up there, we also have a music portal on Discover. So if you'd like to get on Discover and share some of your music on the music portal, it's a very active portal on there. It's social-fi on the internet computer. So there's over 200,000 users on there. So could be a very great another very great platform. So if somebody hears your music and likes it, they can directly tip you an NFT. They can tip you in cryptocurrency, and be able to show you, what, your contribution meant something to me, so I'm going to support you directly. We're not going to go through any, third party channels where somebody gets an aggregate fee. We're not doing any of that stuff. We want to give directly to the creators and empower them for contributing their art, and give them a platform to be able to share. So yeah, Swap, what's are we thinking about wrapping it up?
Yeah, in a little bit. I just wanted to touch on the Discover Music portal real quick, just so like for people that want to be able to share their creations. Rob in the crowd here, I don't know if he's still in, but Scaponix or Technologic, basically he will share a lot of his tracks. We've also had Hachi Mugen, who's going to be on the space tomorrow. Like, so when artists go into the portal, I pin their songs to the top for a while. Like, we have 2,200 people in there, so like I'll pin their tracks that they create, and it's just like a portal for people to share their favorite songs, playlists, and stuff like that. But when we have like a creator in Web3, we highlight it and pin it to the top. We're in no way like Trax, where you can create your music and all that and like post it on the platform. But we will highlight it so that you have an extra outlet that you can get extra exposure from. And when doing this, like I also like to get posts out for you guys as well using our X platform. So it's a way that we can help benefit you guys for bringing your creations to life, or market, I should say, not to life, because that's all you. But yeah, so like we just do that as an incentive to help highlight artists in the space. And for getting onto Discover, you could do it. You could create an account with NFID, or you could do an internet identity to log in. But if you're going to do internet identity, make sure that you're saving your recovery phrase and keeping that protected. You would need a security key as well. It's like your digital, like Web3 passport, essentially. So it's just good to back that up and make sure you're taking precautions there so you don't lose that. But like I said, you could also join with an NFID, and they're going to be making it pretty seamless to log in. I know the founder fairly well, and they're trying to make it where it's within a second of being able to sign up. So there's just a lot of cool things coming in, and I know they're going to be basically going like they're going to be branching out and working with other ecosystems as well. So I expect them to kind of get past 200,000, members of the platform fairly quick. So I think Jair had their hand up first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm here, brother. I'm here. I just want to say something, right? I do anchor spaces weekly, right? So, and this week, we do talk about topics in Web3 that some newbies might be finding very hard and all of that. So this week is NFT, and you guys talked about NFTs, music NFT, right? And I don't know if Sage, Daniel, or the Whoop can come up like
as a main speaker for that day. That would be Thursday, this same time. So it would be nice having you.
Yeah, man, definitely would be interested. Just send me a message of when your space is, because I get scatterbrained from doing so much on here. So if you send me a message with when your spaces are, I'd be more than happy to show up and help out, and yeah, just do more Web3 things, because I'm all about community, man. So I'd be happy to show up and hang out with you anytime.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. To be nice having you. I'll shoot you a DM right away. Thank you very much, brother.
Absolutely, thank you too, man.
And we'll go over to the next hand.
Hey, my man, how you doing?
Doing well. Welcome to the
Do y'all
stage.
do forex trading as well?
No,
Forex,
I don't actually.
the thing, man. I'm trying to get into cryptocurrency though. You got any tips for me though before I start off?
I mean, as far as like getting involved with any cryptocurrency, it's best to start with the fundamentals. So I would research, Bitcoin, Ethereum, like the two main.
All right.
Uh, then kind of branch out from there. But you definitely need to read the white papers and know what you're getting involved in before. And if you're going to create a wallet, make sure that you're writing your security phrase down. It's very important so you don't lose where you might have wherever cryptocurrency you're into stored. So like you just don't want to misplace those.
What's the best cryptocurrency wallet?
I mean, I think a lot of people are like up in the air about that. There's a lot of different wallets out there. I mean, if you're, it really comes down to your preference. Common ones are going to be like your, what is it? Your Coinbase, Trust Wallet, and Meta Wallet or MetaMask.
Yeah.
Those would be like the popular ones, I would say. But it also depends on where you're based, because we're U.S. based, so there's other ones across the globe that could be better, perhaps.
All right, for sure, man. Thanks, man. I'm tuning in from the UK, bro. Big support, big love, man, over here.
Much love. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm getting a couple calls, so sorry if I cut out a little bit. We have hip hop that joined the space. If you'd like to give a little introduction, welcome up.
Yes, thank you. I just saw the space randomly popped in. Shout out Coupe de Ville down there. Yeah, I got a project called Hip Hop. We just launched to the blockchain. We are a DeFi, I guess, a community based on music and gaming. I guess imagine fantasy football, but with music is where we're taking the project, but gamifying it also in the metaverse. Is the big goals for the whole thing. But yeah, I wanted to share a song if that were possible. I don't know if this is I assumed it was a music space, so yeah.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to share.
Cool, cool. All right. Let me just get my Bluetooth connected. I just randomly hopped in. Is Trax a platform or what is Trax?
Yeah. So Trax we had as a guest here, and then we started allowing the artists that were using Trax to come up and speak on their, experience with the platform. So Trax, I'll get up and go back to their page and pin it to the top. But they're a Web3 platform empowering musicians and artists all over the space to be able to own majority of their content. That'd be like 90%, and they have a token that will be coming out. They're going to be decentralized autonomous organization on the internet computer, empowering musicians. So I'm going to tag this one. I know I did earlier, but it will be useful to have it up at the top. So you can follow along there.
Cool, cool. Well, while you're tagging, I'll just drop into my song too. This
Yeah.
is called One versus Many. And I go about mental stamina. Mental, mental, mental. Stamina, 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 stamina. I killed one man to save many men. Indestructible attitude with $1 million price on my head, but luckily I've got plenty of friends who've all been crossed by the law like latitude and know exactly what it's like to be dead. I've never been a better friend than when my brethren needed a very deadly vendetta to end. I quietly listened to his story begin as he started yelling life or death. I replied with a benevolent grin. A tear settled down on his chin after it dripped down his dry leathered skin, his hands clutching a Beretta for defense. I knew if I didn't help, then I'd left him condemned. I'm trying to make better decisions, so I told him never again. It was no longer a question if he learned his lesson and delivered such an honest confession that I made the decision to step in. We sparked the session as the air freshened. He didn't stop stressing, but for a few moments it actually lessened. Some men consider our opponent a legend, a small time rat and a felon with tats embedded in his melon and scars engraved in his melanated skin. Now his problems are all mine once again, but I'm trying to make better decisions, so I told him never again. I killed just one man to save many men. Indestructible attitude with $1 million price on my head. But luckily I've got plenty of friends who've all been crossed by the law like latitude and know exactly what it's like to be dead. I killed just one man to save many men. Indestructible attitude with $1 million price on my head. But luckily I've got plenty of friends who've all been crossed by the law like latitude and know exactly what it's like to be dead. Now I've been living my life in the edge of a full-time job. Bullets aimed in my brain, money on my mind, no time to even explain the odds. I'm playing a dangerous game with a lot on the line, so make sure I'm not in your war. It's hell and it's hot all the time, salty. Sodom and Gomorrah, got him in the aura, sending heat and horror back and forth, carried out a week of war on completely unexplored beaches, bloody sportsmanship, focused force, washed out hands on the gorgeous shores, cold stare. The air was cryogenic. Eventually, I cracked a smile after a while. I just applied the grimace. Frozen soul, H2O, that was maintained at a constant temperature way below, low, zero. Secret orders. Specific politicians missing. Missions needed to grow the business. Underwater, mid-Pacific, submarine meetings to discuss logistics. A force field around the ship intercepting missiles with heat-seeking ballistics. One by one, the villains have been killing the Illuminati. The Grim Reaper, I'll come to see you unwilling. On a blue Ducati, the head of every king comes with the corpses of their platoons and posses. Leave the bullets on the battlefield for the masters. We use karate, ate okra fried with Cobra Kai. My family knew Miyagi. Evolve the strategies the enemies are soon to copy. I'll start the fight, tap up security. Lost by the law like latitude and know exactly what it's like to be dead. I killed just one man to save many men. Indestructible attitude with $1 million price on my head, but luckily I've got plenty of friends who've all been crossed by the law like latitude and know exactly what it's like to be dead. Appreciate you guys. The website is hiphop.cash if you want to check the project out. The ticker is just $hip hop. Much love.
That was awesome. Thanks for performing. That was actually the first like full song that was on one of our spaces. So shout out to you for doing that. It was really cool. So I did give you a follow for anyone interested in following. I'm gonna pin up one of their posts just so you can check it out. Looks like you've done spaces recently. So I'm gonna put up your hip hop game post. For those that would like to research and find out more about hip hop game, you're more than welcome to do so. And then I'm going to be wrapping up this space here as well. I have a meeting that's pretty important to get to in the next 15 minutes. So I just want to make sure that we can kind of sign out here on a good note. Thanks again for the track. Appreciate you doing that. And I will remind people, if you do go up to the music portal and join Discover, we're more than happy to help share your music and so on, and pin that to the top. So it's a cool way that we can give back to artists, as well as doing our own spaces with you guys and So basically tomorrow, I'll point out again that we have Hachi Mugen. I'm going to just pin that to the top here so that you all can set reminders. If you'd like to join, it'll start again at 11 a.m. CST, or that would be 4 p.m. UTC for those that go off of Universal Time. And yeah, so Hachi is a musician that I know from the Oniforce community. He's a lo-fi producer, and I've had the pleasure of connecting with him pretty close over the last couple months. So very excited to have him up. He's gonna be tuning in from Japan. I feel really bad that it's gonna be like 2 a.m. his time. So hopeful that we have a good space and don't keep him too long just because it's super late. But we will have a couple extra guests as well joining. And then just to remind you guys again that we will have more artist spaces. We do typically let a lot of artists come up and join in like a spotlight series during the Sunday Spew, which is like our weekly recap. And then we go into open discussions of what's going on, what's hot, what's trending. And then we give artists the platform to be able to speak. We have like XV, Scaponix, and many others come up to, share what they've been working on. And from there, it's just a great way that we can give back to creators in the space. So yeah, if you'd like to come up for a space on your own sometime and work that out, you can find the Swap Space account in our bio, which is where we store all of our spaces. So that's the best place to reach out. If you do have to message the Swap, that is totally fine too. We just prefer to keep everything organized so that we don't misplace messages. We get a lot daily. So but yeah, I want to end the space now. Thank you all for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And if you can like or retweet the space, it helps bring more awareness to the projects and future creators that we have up on. So thank you all for tuning in. Have a good night or morning wherever you are.
Yep. Thank you, guys.